Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts Podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. I am your host, Drew. Take my hand and let's walk this journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. And today we're going to talk about the endless loops we put ourselves in. You know, we go through the same problems over and over and over again. We get no new results, but we make the same choices that put us in those positions, correct? We find ourselves alone or not in the best frame of mind, right? We're upset or sad. And the reason being is most of the time we aren't fixing the issues that keep us in there, right? We just think we're going to get a different result, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, that's kind of the situation that I think a lot of us deal with. Well, for specifically, we have different types of loops that we put ourselves in. I call them loops just because it's just easier. It's like it's a cycle. What's a loop? It just connects, goes round and round and round, comes right back to the same point it started at, right? Because what we want is we want to solve our issue with a short-term gain. But the short-term gain is only going to put us right back to square one after we get it. So, for example, money, right? A job or the pursuit of something that will make us financially better off, right? But we deviate from what our true passions are or what we truly want. Now, we take a shortcut just to get to a goal of finances, but then we just completely deviate from an actual career path or something that we want to build on. And that might mean taking a pay cut, right? You know, you're into fashion, you're a fashionista, you live for fashion, you do everything fashion related, and it's almost more like a hobby. But as your job, you work in the banking industry because the money's better. But in reality, probably do something, maybe work for a blog or maybe get paid a lot less money, but to do something that you're passionate about. If that's fashion, just like I said, as an example. But and I understand, listen, at the same time, we're not financially liberated and we need to make money to pay our bills. But let's look and let's take some inventory of the things that we have around us that make us spend more money. You know, you don't need a brand new car. You don't need an expensive apartment. You don't need all these luxuries. You don't need to go out to brunch every weekend. There's so many things that you spend your money on that create the reason you need to go and get a job, right? But if we're really intentionally trying to get into the industry, we'll do everything we can to kind of curb all that. No, I'm not going to spend money on that. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do everything I can only to facilitate this career. And then you get there. That's important. But most of us don't do it. So we're like, I'm an aspiring fashionista, fashion person, or I'm aspiring writer, or I'm aspiring this, aspiring that. But it's like you're Batman. You're like this person by day and you're this person by night. But only one of them pays the bills and only one of them is really a real thing in the real world because you haven't made it real by putting the work in to do that, right? That's a loop. We all do it. It's like, oh, all right, that's cool to dream about. What do you do? What do you do for money? And most people were raised that way. You know, it's safety net to go get a job, right? It's a safety net to go do these things. Go do these things, right? I get it. I understand it. I've heard it a million times. But there's something that you can do to facilitate that change. And it's not always glorious. It's not glamorous. It's not fun. Being cheap or not spending money and not having the luxuries everybody else does. But the long-term gains that you will get in return will make you live the life that you want. And then you get to reap them later on and say, damn, I'm so happy I was this way. Because now I paved the way that I can enjoy my life the way I want to on my terms. While everybody else is in the rat race, chasing their bills and their expensive cars and all these other things that they have, you're living and waking up and doing what you love and truly care about. That's how you end the loop there, right? Well, Andrew, money's not really the issue for me and my career is not really an issue, but, well, I got other ones. Relationships. Some of us are so desperate to find love that we'll be with anyone who will have us. Anyone. I'll take anything. I want to be in love. Just give me somebody that'll entertain me. Okay. And we end up with toxic people. That's one example of what happens. Or we're uncontent with the person we're around. So we just exist with this person, right? just so we can feel some affection, but in the end, we're alone. Or in the end, we treat that person bad because we're not truly desiring them, or they just stand for what we want. We like the idea of what they are, but that's not truly what we want because we're not willing to go and wait and be patient. You need to seek it out. And even if that means being alone for a long time. Don't settle. Don't waste somebody else's time. Not to say that person's bad, but that person may not be for you. That's one example. But there are a lot of times where we know that person's bad for us, but hey, they do the trick. It's like, no, it's not like changing a light bulb. It's not like getting a used car that's going to get you around from point A to point B. It's a physical human relationship, and it will adversely affect your future. It'll adversely affect your career. It'll adversely affect everything in your life. So no, be alone. I know it sucks, but it's better than spending your time and energy with somebody that's actually going to put you in a worse position, or you're going to put yourself in a bad position because of the way you feel about them. Done it. I'm guilty of this in the past. I've done it. It doesn't work. Well, maybe that's not your department. Maybe relationship's fine. Maybe your relationship's fine. Maybe your money's fine. Well, there's another thing called physical health, right? That's another loop we put ourselves in. You're like, Andrew, what do you mean? Well, the warmer weather's coming up, right? Or the warmer weather's already around, it is the summer. But what happens before the warmer weather? That ball drops in Times Square, and bam, we're on a path to become this new person. We're making vows, resolutions to be this new person. I'm going to do new things. I'm going to quit all my bad habits. I'm going to start eating kale every day. I'm going to drink water. I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. I'm not going to drink any alcohol. And I'm just going to achieve this thing. People are just on their high horse at this point and like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. Listen, I'm sure there are people that actually do it. But I will tell you that most of the time people fail. They do. They fail. And sometimes it's a short-term gain. Maybe it's just the physical health of it, right? So we'll just go to physical. Most people, I want to lose weight, or I want to get healthier, or I want to go to the gym. Gym memberships skyrocket in January. Skyrocket. If you're an avid gym goer, you know this, that you don't like the gym around January. That time is when all of a sudden it's just a flood of people come in. Obviously, the pandemic changed that, but normally it's a flood of people that don't normally go to the gym, and all of a sudden they're there. They're there in full droves, and they're on the cardio equipment or on the machines, sitting there text messaging. Not everybody, but there are people that you could tell, like, hey, listen, man, they're just there for the aesthetic of going to the gym to make themselves feel good. But in reality, they're not there for the gym. They're there short term just so they can get that summer body, or just so maybe they're getting married and they want to be in better shape so they could fit and look good for the pictures. All short term stuff. And then the loop happens, right? You go, you put your 6 months in, you lose the weight. Look at me now. I look great. Yada, yada, yada. You have some great pictures, some great memories, and boom, the colder weather comes. Things happen. Maybe you meet somebody. You fall into a comfort zone. And then the next thing you know, you're right back to square one once again, not feeling great about yourself, saying, you know what? This next time around, I'm going to get it. And this is like the fourth or fifth time you failed at this, right? Well, that's what happens. You're looking in the mirror, you're looking in the closet, you're like, man, my clothes don't fit me, but I don't want to get rid of them because I really want to do this. Well, there's one way to go about this. It's a whole lifestyle change. It's a commitment. It's not a one and done situation. Don't bank your progress on a short-term gain. You got to be realistic with yourselves. It's a transformation, but it's also a better way of living. But you also have to find a way to live in a sweet spot where you're better than you were, but you're also not making huge sacrifices to the point where you're this completely other person that's going to hate themselves in 6 months, which most people do. It's like going to prison for 6 months. I'm reformed. Come home, and then you fall into bad habits again because it's just too much of an extreme change. It's too much. your success rate will diminish because you're not committed to a lifestyle change. You're committed to a short-term change that's only going to do you good for a short amount of time. And once you utilize all the novelty of feeling that way, you're going to go right back to your old habits. And that sucks because I know a lot of you can do better. And it takes a lot of commitment to make these plans and do them right. But you can do it. I'm telling you, the gym industry, the highest churn rate. People skyrocket the memberships and boom, they leave. And the next January, December, look, there's going to be promotions for the gyms again. Because people leave and they go somewhere else and they hold on to the gym membership for 6 months and then they leave and they go somewhere else. But you got to look at what's going to make you successful. Don't do the same thing you did every 5 years. Every year you're doing the same thing for 5 years. You look at those little keychain scanner things with all the gym memberships you've ever had and then all the mail you're going to get when gym season comes around again, which is like literally January. It's like their Christmas. It's not realistic. There's a reason. Don't say something just because you need a quick fix. You got to fix something long term, which means you got to plan it out. Plan your money situation where you want to have a job that you're happy with, that you enjoy, and you want to give it your all every time. And you're not wearing a stupid t-shirt or wearing a meme that says, "Not another Monday." Fuck that. Fuck that shit. The weekend is created because everybody wants to be off on the weekend, right? Like, because everybody's off on the weekend, right? That's the work week. But that could change. People could be off during the week and be happy and coexist. But let's be honest with you. Most people don't. Because they want a job that's 9 to 5 so they can hang out with their friends and do nothing on Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday sleep in and watch Netflix and eat fucking ice cream. You could change that. Your life could be fruitful and amazing. But you have to do the work. Find a job or find a career that you want to get into and plan a way to execute that and get into it. And it might be a slow crawl for a while, but eventually you get up and you start running. And once that thing is going full force, you're going to be so happy that you did that. But you have to make the sacrifice. It could be as little as 6 months. We're not talking 25 years. Yeah, to amass to a status that you might be, you might look up to somebody and say, wow, they're a legend in that industry. Yeah, it might have taken them 25 years. But along the way, it's a beautiful ride because you gotta enjoy the climb to the top. There's a lot of stops along the way. And that could be you. But you have to go for it and you have to plan for it. And you don't jump you don't say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then an offer comes for better, more money and something completely different and you jump on that. I've done it because I needed money, because I had too many expenses and I needed to keep my lifestyle going. So I was always aspiring to do something, but doing completely something else. Believe me, work in the restaurant business. I worked in the restaurant business. We're all aspiring actors. We're all aspiring writers. We're all aspiring musicians. This, that, and the third. Aspiring. Actually, you spend 10 years in the industry, and guess what you're doing? Nothing. It's a hobby, and what you do to feed yourself is make money in a restaurant, waiting tables, bartending. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those jobs, because the restaurant industry is actually a lot of fun. I loved it. I had a great time. But I will tell you, there are a lot of people that aren't serious about their craft that are in there. And they think that just one day life is going to happen for them. You have to grind it out and you have to be smart with your stuff. You really do. Relationships, same thing. Don't let just anyone in your life. This person's going to share some time with you. They're going to adversely affect everything about your life, and you are also going to have an impact on their life. Don't you want to have a positive one? Don't you want to have one that person supports your decisions in a sense and wants you to do better and wants you to be better? There's a lot of qualities that nobody checks off. People are just like, oh, I want a so-and-so, a person that has a nose and eyes and likes to eat popcorn. And don't judge me if I steal all the fries. Wow. Dumbfounded. Believe me, I've seen these dating apps. I see the profiles. It's funny. It's cute. But there's a lot of professionals on there that are just looking for simple things like that. And they wonder why they're a lot older and relationships have not worked out for them. It's because they're looking for the wrong things. They're in a loop. A lot of people are just in this loop. So they end up with the same things all the time and can't understand why. Partially their fault. But they're also, you want to catch a nice fish. You can't use the same bait that's catching the other fish that you don't want. You got to use new bait. You got to use new things, new standards. You got to expect more and not settle. That's the key, not settling. And yes, it's like, oh man, it's a crapshoot though. I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. You're not going to be alone for the rest of your life. I promise. You will meet somebody great if that's what you're seeking. But it takes time. Entertain people, but Don't be so ready to just, yeah, that's it. That's the person I want in my life. 2 months in, okay, let's move in together. We're good. No, that's not how it works. You want somebody that's going to uplift you and be as driven as you are and support you, and you could support them, and you have a good match where you guys are a team. It's a team thing. If not, then you're at a loss. Move on to the next one. This is the world we live in. It's hustle and bustle. It's very fast. But there's a lot out there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of ways to weed the bad people out of your life. It's a lot easier than it used to be. It really is. And last but not least, like I said, the physical health thing, plan for the long distance. Who cares if it takes you 6 months to develop or change or build your muscle or lose the 25 pounds? Once you lose it in 6 months or whatever time it takes you, but you have a consistent process that works and you're happy and you're driven to keep moving, you will do better. And then you could drastically change it more and more and more. But you got to get your foot in the door. You can't just say, all right, yo, I'm going right to the Olympics. No. If you've never been in the gym a day in your life, or you've never forget that. One day at a time. But do something that's realistic for you in your life. And don't be miserable the whole time because you're eating kale when you want a hamburger. Find a way to enjoy a hamburger and still be able to do the other things. And be physical. Find physical activities that work for you. There's so much stuff out there. People, please. You're killing me. Well, these are the loops. These are the loops that we can break. We can break these loops. We can break these loops and we could shoot out of it. Break that cycle. We can all do it. We can all do this. This is not hard. This is nothing profound. I've said this probably a gazillion times on other things I've talked about. And I'm sure all these lifestyle gurus and people out there that you see, they say the same thing. They reiterate the same shit over and over and over again. It's not profound. It's just simple. It's simple. We get in our own way all the time. All right, I'm going to stop rambling now and tell you guys that I love you and I appreciate you listening. And please reach out to me and say, hey, Drew, you know what? That was good. Or, hey, Drew, no, that wasn't it. And I'm mad at you. I want to hear from you guys. God bless you. Thank you for listening to my podcast, The Meaningful Hearts Podcast, at gmail.com and at Instagram. Love you guys. Later.